Welcome back to GEMS Podcast. I'm your host, Genesis Amaris Kemp, and with me today is Ramona Fasula. And here's a bit about Ramona. She's definitely in the wellness space. She's a nationally recognized natural health expert, published author, and disease management and prevention specialist. For over a decade, she has been a champion for helping others to establish a healthy lifestyle and be the best versions of themselves that they can possibly be. As a graduate of the prestigious Institute for Integrative Nutrition in New York and the Christina Pirello School of Natural Cooking and Integrative Health Studies, Ramona gained a solid knowledge of how the foods we choose have an impact on the quality of our lives. And you know what? This makes me think you are what you eat. Ramona has made many radio appearances, included Women to Watch, The Mike Siegel Show, Night Storm Radio, OC Radio, and It's Your Health with Lisa Davis on NPR. Her writings have been featured in South Jersey Mom Magazine, The CEO Magazine, Mom Meet Mom, Proud Working Mom, Food Descriptions, Women's Wellness Over 40, About Her Magazine, and Urban Net Magazine. She also contributed articles on health and wellness to the NFL Alumni Association. And without further ado, please welcome Ramona Fasula to GEMS Podcast, where we will learn about what led her down this wellness journey, how she's helping others navigate their own journey, and why it's so important to take care of our body, which is our temple.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing well, Ramona, and thank you so much for being here. You have a tremendous background and you are definitely doing some incredible work within the wellness space.
Thank you so much. And it's funny, like you said, you are what you eat. And I think back to when I was a kid, and I always heard that. And I never got it. Kids they look at broccoli and they don't understand the health benefits that go along with eating broccoli. But all these years later, it's funny because that's my mantra. You are what you eat. When you eat things that are healthy, your body's going to respond and you're going to be healthy. When you eat things that are not healthy, your body's going to respond in a negative way. So yeah, we definitely are what we eat. It makes sense today.
Oh man, so let's unpack. I know your business is Wellness by Ramona, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Making healthy living easy. So let's dive into that a bit because people sometimes feel like, oh, I'm so busy juggling between work, if they're a mother, juggling between the kids, and so many other things that they neglect to really take time to either savor their food, like sit down in a proper setting and eat, chew their food without just being on the go. And fast foods are booming because that's the quickest thing nowadays. But then over time, you look at the different illnesses and you wonder why.
No, you're absolutely right. And yeah, I think healthy living is easy. I think people, it's a misconception. People think it's difficult. One of the things I always tell people, let me kind of take a step back. So, my whole theory is that food is medicine. It's everything I've been taught, everything I believe in. So I always tell people when they go into a supermarket and you're in that produce aisle, right? Your cart should look like a Crayola crayon box in that there's lots of different colors, right? So every color means something. So you have your purple foods, which is longevity, right? So the anthocyanins are the antioxidants that give it that purplish color. So foods like eggplant and blueberries, those are longevity foods. You have your orange foods that are good for cancer prevention, things like sweet potatoes and carrots. Your red foods, good for the heart. Strawberries, cherries. Cherries are one of the most anti-inflammatory foods that are out there. Your green leafy vegetables are detox foods. So I call it color coding your health. And it's funny, I talk to clients and they're like, I hear your voice and I can actually picture you on my shoulder, like a little mini version of you, right? Buzzing in my ear, pick up that head of broccoli because it's going to help prevent cancer, or pick up that head of cauliflower because it's a cruciferous vegetable. It's going to do the same thing. So starting there, it all starts in the shopping cart. But I think the one thing that makes it easy for everybody to lead that healthy lifestyle is meal planning. When people take the time to do the meal planning, it takes a little bit of time on the weekends, but it'll save you so much time during the week. And it's just so helpful. The more people that I talk to, they're like, wow, that was a really great idea. Making double batches of things, double batches of soup, healthy soups, and putting them in the freezer so that you can heat it throughout the week. Little things like that. Cooking parts of your meal. Taco Tuesday, right? Cooking the things that you need to cook to prepare the taco, putting it in the refrigerator, labeling it, and then when Tuesday rolls around, your tacos are almost ready. You just have to heat it up. Heat it up and dress
Absolutely. I love meal prepping. I haven't done it in a while because I actually work at home now. So
Mhm.
just my job is like my podcast and etc. But when I was working in corporate America and I had the hustle and bustle of being
Mhm.
in the oil and gas and energy industry, which is high stress, high demand, I did meal prep on Saturdays where I would cook the same thing for about 3 days. And then on the day of the last meal, I would cook something else for 2 days so I don't get bored eating the same thing. But recently I had a fitness and wellness expert on my podcast and he talked about batch cooking. So he's like, he'll cook a big batch of whether it's chicken breasts or chicken thighs. And then one day he'll do tacos, the next day tikka marsala or whatnot. And then you have that variation, but you stick with batch cooking of protein. And then, of course, the fruits and vegetables. And another tip my sister taught me, she's a vegan, is you shop on the outer perimeter of the store because when you go through the aisles, it's all the GMOs, the processed foods, and all the gunk for your system.
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
tried that and it was so hard one day because I was like, the Oreos are just calling me.
But you know what? They have health food stores, and you can even buy stuff online that are healthier versions of Oreos. I firmly believe that you could make a healthy version of anything that is unhealthy. When I was in Christina Pirello's class at the restaurant school in Philadelphia, we talked a lot about theory, disease theory, and then we did the integrative cooking to go along with that. But we made healthy candy, we made healthy cakes and healthy cookies. It's all the ingredients that you put into it, and the less ingredients, the better. People get caught in that trap where things may look healthy, but when you turn the label over and you actually read it, there are things in there that are not healthy, like the GMOs that you mentioned a few minutes ago. So you have to be careful, and just because you're in a health food store, you still have to read labels. Make sure that you're reading those labels, because the food manufacturers are going to be sneaky about it, and they're going to put little ingredients, and one ingredient can change a whole recipe, an unhealthy ingredient. So you have to be really, really careful. But I always recommend make sure you're reading those labels. Very important.
What are your thoughts on juicing and smoothies? Because sometimes people on the go, they'll use like smoothies as a meal replacement or just juicing.
Mhm.
And do you think that people should continue down that practice, or should you have like a juice and a smoothie and then like a normal size meal?
I think everybody's different. Everybody's health is different. Everybody has different preferences. So I do smoothies. I do a lot of smoothies. I also do juicing too. Celery juice is wonderful, super, super healthy. They say with the juicing, you're not getting the fiber. You're getting antioxidants, you're getting other things. So it's not an unhealthy thing to do juicing, to incorporate smoothies. And I always tell people, there's a lot of people out there that don't like vegetables. They're very picky eaters. They don't like vegetables. I say, I have the perfect solution for you: green smoothies. because you're not going to taste the vegetables. You're going to taste the fruit that you're putting in there. It's going to mask the taste of it. That's a great way to get extra vegetables in. Or if you do like your vegetables, it's a way to get an extra helping of them in. So yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of green smoothies. I'm a fan of juicing. I never was in the past, but I have to say that I do more juicing now. So very healthy for both.
And thank you for adding that. And then whenever you think about your business as a whole, who is your ideal avatar and what are some of the things that they could benefit from working with you?
Well, I mean, I'll kind of tell you the story of how I got into coaching, and that'll kind of segue into what you're asking. So my dad passed away from complications of type 2 diabetes in 2001. He was a textbook case. I'm not going to go into the details, but he passed away from complications of it. And he's the reason that I get up every day and do what I do. I don't want to see anybody suffer the way that my father did. I have reversed type 2 diabetes with clients. Type 2 is 100% reversible. So I work a lot with clients that are diabetic. Heart disease is another issue that I work with. I actually wrote a book called A Health Coach's Guide to Heart Health, which is actually on my website and on Amazon. But heart disease can be reversed as well. You know, making sure that you're eating foods with lots of fiber in them is one part of that. But I go into detail in the book. But I mean, my goal is to reverse chronic disease, you know, whether somebody has a thyroid issue or if they have cancer or diabetes or heart disease, whatever the case may be. I've worked with people that have had skin conditions and it turns out it was an issue with the liver. So we worked on, you know, eating foods that are going to support the liver and making sure that they were detoxing properly, which is another issue that I think that people don't do enough detoxing or doing it properly. So, but heavy metal toxicity can cause a lot of issues with the brain, thyroid function. I mean, you name it. So I guess that was a long-winded answer, but my answer would be that I can help anyone, you know, anyone who's dealing with a chronic disease or wants to prevent chronic disease. I always say it takes a lot less energy to prevent disease than it does to fight your way back when you do have a chronic disease, because you don't have as much energy, you know, as you did before. So yeah. I just want to change the world and help everybody.
And I like the approach that you're taking where you can reverse it with just the proper nutrients. And then let's not forget about exercise, because sometimes people feel like, oh, I'm eating good, but still something is not adding up. Well, what does your exercise and your fitness routine look like? Because they go hand in hand. It's 80% what you eat, 20% exercise. And I think you have to do them in conjunction to really have that holistic approach when it comes to your overall wellness and fitness. And I
agree. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. And I was going to say, I saw on your website that you even have a book out for the healthy shopping food guide. And I think a lot of people could use that. Do you plan on putting it in an app base, like where someone could actually have it on their phone while they're going through the store?
I have some ideas in mind. So you know, there's definitely some things that are going to be coming down the pike there. I love to write, you know, and to be able to combine writing, which I'm passionate about, with that health and wellness piece. I love it. The more information I know, the more information I can get out there. So I'm going to keep continuing with my education. You know, I have an MBA, but I'm starting a master's in human nutrition and functional medicine as well, which I think that that's where medicine is going to be going in the future. You know, getting down to the root cause of the issue. You know, the body has an incredible power to heal itself given the right tools. But a lot of people aren't aware of what they are. So I'm an educator. You know, I want to get out there and definitely educate more people because they need this information for sure.
Yes, I love to tell people and some of my clients that knowledge is power and people perish due to a lack of knowledge. And just, some of the herbs, the spices, the local grown foods and stuff, if you get back to eating how the boomers and people did prior ate, without worrying about all the things that are added to our foods or the foods that are quickly grown in laboratories, then you will live a long and prosperous life. Like, for example, my grandmother just passed recently in
I'm
January
sorry.
this year. Thank you. She was 99 years old, but in the Caribbean, because my mom's side of the family is Caribbean, they grow a lot of their stuff. My grandmother did not eat leftovers. So whenever we were there, we're like, oh, we cooked this, just put it in the fridge. And she's like, and she could tell the difference if something was refrigerated and it was leftovers. And
Mhm.
you could go out in your garden, you could pick different things. And I just collaborated with another woman the other day, and she was talking, we used the example of a tomato. The tomato from a garden tastes totally different than the tomato from a store. You could savor it. And imagine when you go to certain restaurants and you taste the tomatoes and you're like, ooh, this just tastes so good. It's sweet. Some of them, if you like those little bitty cherry tomatoes that are round, they're just crunchy, but not too crunchy. They're not soggy or anything. So it's like, oh my gosh, it makes you want to eat certain foods because of the taste.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. You can definitely taste the difference with pesticides and, all the things that they use. It's frightening. It really is frightening. If people really understood what was going into their food, and I think about all the salt and the sugar. Sugar is the enemy. No matter how you look at it, sugar damages our DNA. It literally affects every organ in the body. So, if people take one thing from this, today, stay away from sugar. And if you have to wean yourself off things like soda, if you drink 5 cans of soda a day, go down to 4. Then when you're good with that, then go down to 3. And then, until you completely give it up. But there's so much sugar. Aspartame is a neurotoxin and used in diet soda, and it actually kills the brain cells, which is frightening. And you think about people are consuming several diet sodas per day, that's not a good thing. They get headaches, migraine sufferers. Oh my goodness, it's awful. It really is awful. But sugar is the enemy. You definitely want to watch. And I'm not saying, if you go out to eat and you want to get a piece of chocolate cake every now and again, that's okay. I do that. I'm going to be honest. I'll do that. Every now and again, I'll get a craving. I give into it, because if you don't give into that craving, you're going to want more. You're going to consume more, and then you're going to run into issues with potentially, diabetes, putting yourself at risk for that, and heart disease, and a whole bunch of other diseases as well. But, I'm not saying don't ever consume it again, but people really need to think about the amount of sugar that they're consuming, and take the necessary steps to lessen that amount, for sure.
And I think that I will add before we begin to wind down is listen to your body. Your body will never steer you wrong. If you eat something and you notice that your body breaks out in hives, or you start to feel itchy, or you have an upset stomach, or whatever the case may be, it means that your body can not tolerate what you just put inside of it. So make a note of that. And one thing that helped me was my little cousin, she was diagnosed with lupus. She got me a food journal, and she had me write down different things because I had really bad stomach pains and etc. And it was because I wasn't being mindful of what I was eating, and I wasn't sitting in that mindfulness and really being one with my body and the foods that I was partaking. So that was the thing that helped me, and I miss her dearly. She passed away at the age of 20 in 2015, but she taught thank you. She taught me a lot, like nutrition wise, because I was one of those people. I was on the go, y'all, working in oil and gas. The quickest thing for me to do was go through a fast food restaurant until I married my husband, who's a chef, and he really helped me with the nutritional pieces of it, and just really learning from some of my families. And so my heart resonated with you when you talked about your father, because my father passed away in November of 2020, and he also had diabetes, but he passed due to medical negligence. So
I'm so sorry. Very
thank
sorry to hear that.
you. And you're just like a wealth of knowledge. And I wish we could talk longer, but we'll definitely have to bring you back for a round two. But as we
Wonderful.
wind down, Ramona, I want you to leave the listeners with a call to action, something that will help them get on their way when it comes to wellness.
I would say one small change. It's usually the smallest things that make the biggest difference. So if you're, I mentioned soda before. If you're drinking soda, try to kind of wean yourself off of that. And instead of drinking a can of soda, drink some water instead. So you're increasing your water intake. If you're going to the gym once a week, then increase that. Wonderful. Same here, right here. If you're going to the gym once a week, increase it to twice a week. Then once you master that, then just keep adding on. But little tiny changes will make a big difference, and your body will respond. You're going to start to feel your energy shift. You'll have more energy. But your health is such a gift. And I think people don't realize that we have so much power with our forks. So much power. My dad always said, when you don't have your health, you have nothing. And it is so true, because your health is the center of everything in your life, your relationships, your work, how productive you are at work. I mean, there's not anything that your health doesn't affect. So acknowledge how precious that gift is and do whatever you can to take care of it, because when it's gone, you're going to feel it, and it's not going to feel good.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that call to action, because those tiny steps add up into those large leaps. And Ramona, for those listening and viewing, how can they reach out to you via your website, and where do you hang out on social media?
www.wellnessbyramona.com. And I'm going to spell my name because everybody usually spells it wrong. It's Ramona. So it's wellnessbyramona.com. You can find Wellness by Ramona on Facebook and Instagram as well. And my books are available on the website as well.
And there you have it, listeners and viewers of GEMS Podcast. You just heard Ramona Fasula with Wellness by Ramona. She will be back for a part 2.
Yes, I will. Looking forward to it.
We're definitely going to go deep diving with her so we can live a optimal lifestyle. And for all you lovely listeners and viewers out there, I want to encourage you that your health is equivalent to your wealth. You can't enjoy your wealth if you don't have optimal health. Start today by making small changes. Increase your water intake. If you don't like the flavor of water, diffuse it. Put some fruits in there and drink that. If you're a soda junkie and you want to do something else, try sparkling water. It'll still give you that fizz. And then for those fruits and veggies out there, you could try carrots with hummus, or you could try maybe carrots with some dry fruit. Look for fun and creative ways to pair things that you wouldn't ordinarily eat, but then practice mindfulness while you're eating them, and then think about how your body feels afterwards. So until we chat next time, peace, love, and lots of blessings. Have an amazing day. Don't forget to subscribe and share this segment. We're on 40 plus platforms, and follow us on YouTube at Gems with Genesis Amaris Kemp for all things video content, and all of Ramona's info will be in the show notes. So there's no excuse for you not to tap in with Wellness by Ramona.